Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Anna, and welcome to my 2024 reading wrap up where I read 37 out of the 100 books that I had initially planned to read. I have my book here with everything written down because that's a year ago. So I read 3 2-star, 12 3-star, 2 3.5 star. I read 7 4-star, 3 4.5 star, 10 5-star, making my average rating 3.8. Which I had given like way more 5 stars, but out of 37 I only did 10, and I think they were valued 3 stars and 2 stars and 5 stars and whatever. So the bulk of the books, 14 of the 30, a good portion of the books I read were ebooks or books that I had on loan from my library. For those books, I will insert like a picture here. Also, this won't be very long because if I don't remember anything about the book, I'll just tell you the rating and why I thought I rated that. But if I don't remember like the synopsis or anything, I just won't go into that. So I'm gonna flip to my page because I had like 2 pages of this. So we're gonna start with my 2-star books, which the first one is this book. It's We Are Liars by E. Lockhart. And I think I'm gonna turn off my ring light because sorry if I'm in the dark. I kinda hate when the light reflects on my books and it goes back into my eyes. That gives me migraines. So I this follows like I think 5 cousins or 4 cousins, and then this was a 2-star because I read it and it was really confusing. The only reason I think I remember what happened is because I posted a review on TikTok and someone explained it to me, and I'm probably gonna have to reread this at some point because I still don't get it. Follows 4 or 5 cousins. Something happened over the summer. I still don't know what happened, even though I read the entire book. So that was that. And then I read Wayward. I think it's Wayward. I was doing this for like reading pop Goodreads best book of 2023, and I read Wayward by Amelia Hart. It follows 3 women over 3 time periods. I didn't like it. Then I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm not really a big Emily Henry fan. And I think one of the reasons why I rated this a 2-star is I read this I was doing like a reading only Emily Henry's books for, I was doing like a reading vlog where I was reading only Emily Henry's books or something along that line, and I read 3 or 4 books back to back, and this just feels to follow the same pattern. So I think it follows 2 best friends. They go on vacations every year, and then on their last vacation, something happened. Emily Henry also has this flashback thing that she does, which I didn't really like for this book. And so something happened on their last vacation, and then we see what happened, and it's more like it's a friends to lover romance, and I would have been better off if they had remained as friends because I didn't see the point of them being together. So we're done with our 3 2-star. We're moving on into our 3 to 4-star category because I just grouped them because I thought it was easier. And this will include my 3 stars and also my 3.5. So we have One of Us is Lying, which I'll insert a picture here. Some of these are also series, and I do want to put what are series. So forgive me if I'm all over the place. I think this is book 1 of something. Yeah, this is book 1 of the One of Us Are Lying by Karen M. Magnamus. So 5 kids got detention, and during detention, one of them died, and then we see, so it's now 4 of them who were suspected of doing the crime. We follow it, and then we end up seeing who did it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I I had figured it out. That's why it's a 3-star, because it was just there was just something about that made it so predictable. I knew why and what happened. So then I read the I have to keep my fingers away from my face. So I read the XX, and I think that's also I'm gonna have to reference to my book a lot. So and I promise you I'm not all over the place. I just didn't see the point of writing down. That's a small notebook. I couldn't write down the entire like everything that I wanted to. But I think the XX by Erin Sterling is book one of the Grace Glen series, which it follows this witch who she and I think it was an ex-boyfriend who's also from like a long family of male witch or wizards, or I don't know what I don't remember what I call. And they broke up, and they basically she hexed him with her cousin, but they didn't believe any of it to be true. And then like years later he comes back to that little town, and then something happens to the magic. There are a lot of other subplot elements that happen, but as I said, I read this early, like I read this like almost a year, so I really don't remember anything that happened in any of these books. We're moving along. This is Heartbreaker, and this is book one of the Out of Uniform series. And if you look here, I have like a little synopsis. It says, after Brenda, which is Jen's ex, oh, so it's Brandon. It has to be Brandon because I don't think. So after we're gonna call him Billy, which is Jen's ex, started stalking her big brother and Cash LT slash decided to okay. So after Jen's ex decide who turns out to be some creepy stalker, so her older brother asked his lieutenant to basically watch over her, so we get that whole forced proximity romance. This also has spice in it. So if you're not really a big Spice fan, I rated it a 3 star because I was not feeling I didn't feel them fall in love, and the lack of romance on the pages. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna go over some of these when I do get the time because I think the way I review book is really funny. So we're moving along. We did Swamp Story, which is by Dave Barry, which is just one wild roller coaster reading. I think it follows like there's this girl. She has this boyfriend who they're trying. So it's down in Florida, and they're trying to basically do a little swamp life vlog, and she came upon some goal, and like it just took a wild turn, and we're moving along. Then I read this was really popular. This is The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I don't know, I went in with too much expectations. Like I love the whole mystery. People were saying that our lead girl Avery was gonna like fall in love, or she's gonna be torn between. I didn't really get that. So it's more like a mystery, like follow the find the Easter eggs, or follow the breadcrumbs, or follow the rabbit down the whole type of thing. I do have book two, which I do plan to read sometime this year. So and then we did Yellow Face by R.F. Kwong, which follows two girls. They used to be friends, or they were friends, or they stopped being friends, or they're close. One is a really popular author who I think is Asian or of the Asian ethnicity. I could be wrong. Please do not quote me. And then she invited the other girl. I think I want to call her June. I think her name having to do with something June related. So, oh, my eyes just crossed. Anyways, so when she was over her house, she she was gone, and she had a manuscript that she didn't share to anyone. And June decided to steal the girl's manuscript and pass it off as her own. And she was also it was an Asian. Like there are aspects of the story that I loved. it was a 3 star. Don't judge past me for all these. So if you love or you rate any of these books higher than I'm rating them, please do not come for me. Then I read Stolen Things by R.A. Chiron. Like, I bought this solely for the book cover. The cover is really, really cute. So it follows this dispatcher who, she was at work and she got a 911 call, and it was her daughter. And then she and her daughter basically went down this rabbit hole to see what happened. She was also essayed. So 3 stars. Then we have, so I have watched the Shadow and Bone series twice now on Netflix. And then I've had the book. Okay, if you look here, right here, this book right here is the book one of the Shadow and Bone, which I had on loan from my library, which I'm gonna have to return because I've had that since 2023. So, anyways, then I decided to read book one of the Shadow and Bone series. I was like, I really, really, really wanted to see. I don't know what I wanted to see, but I really wanted to read this book. My library had it. It was a popular book at the time when I picked it up on my library, and I really enjoyed it. But because I've watched a TV show prior, there was this big comparison. I think that if I hadn't watched a TV show, that I would TV series, I would have enjoyed it more. There was just some aspect of the book which I thought the TV series did a lot better than in the book. And I'm a visual person. I could read a book and visualize it, so I don't think it was because I wasn't able to visualize it from the book. I just think that I was comparing it too much to the TV show. But it just follows Alina Starkov and Mal. Mal's a tracker. So in this is the Grishaverse. This is book one of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So she did, while they were crossing the darkness, they call it. I don't remember what they call it. She discovered that she had powers and that she is like in this world it will be what they call a saint, and we see her going through discovering her powers. The Grisha are kind of close to royalty, but not really royalty, if you get what I'm saying. So that's that. Then I read Legendary, which is on the 3 star. This is Legendary, which is book 2 of the Caraval series, and this is told from Donatella's point of view. And in this, they're actually trying to find. So in book 1, which we're gonna get to because it is on the list further down. In book 1, we see Scarlet trying to save Donatella, but in book 2, we get to see how Scarlet was led down that path. And Stella's objective is to find out who is Legend. And let me read. I felt this book had less of Caraval and more of Stella's chatting. That's what I put. And I didn't feel connected to the book. Like, I love the world of Caraval from book 1, so I went in expecting that. I didn't get that. So very disappointed on that aspect. Then I read It Had to Be You by Mary H. Higgins and Alafair Burke. And this was a 3.5. So the issue I had with this is, at first I picked this up from my library thinking that it was a romance. The name just really got me. And then it followed two twins who were suspected of killing their parents on their graduation 10 years ago. And then a one of those true crime podcast type of shows or whatever is picking it up. They want to like redo the evidence or try to see or try to solve it. And it the like we knew from the as the reader, you know from the beginning that the twins are suspected of doing the murder, but I wasn't provided with any like evidence that could show why each twin thought it was the other. And I thought that if the book had that, I would have enjoyed it more. So then I read Holly by Stephen King. This was the year that I was really, really trying to like branch out, try to get what's the whole Stephen King hype. Uh, and this book also had COVID in it, and I really don't like any books about COVID. It just follows these. It has these old people who are like people for, and they're eating them. So it have a little bit of cannibalism in it, and they were picking these people at random, but they wanted them younger. So one of them is like a scientist. I think the husband is a scientist and the wife is some other high professor, but they're both professors, and they were just people, and they were eating them to prolong their youth, whatever. And then there's Holly, who she is like a PI, so she was hired to find one of the person that the old couple, and then nothing really interesting happens. Then I read Elevation. This, as I said, was me going through my whole let's read Stephen King books. This follows a guy who was losing weight. I think he was losing weight without losing mass, and in the end, he flew away into the sky. And it had it has a lesbian couple who I really didn't understand this book, but it was a 3 star because it's a novella. It was a really good read. So then I read Assistant to the Villain, which I did for a reading vlog, which I really loved. And this followed Evie. You see, this is how you know when I like a book, when I can remember a person's. So this follows Evie, and there is this world which I have my notes here. So it follows Evangelina Sage. And then she got fired from her job, and then she got this job. There's this bad guy in this world. They call him the villain because he's always doing bad things. So Evie became his assistant, and we saw her working for him. We supposedly saw them kind of like try to get together, whatever. But these are my notes. The lack of world building, and I hate the constant mention of the word the villain. Everything else I like the plot twist involving. So there is someone who was kind of like, so there's also a royalty, like there's a king and everything, and there's powers in this world, which that I still don't understand the bulk of that anyways. So the villain is basically stealing from the king, and then he thought someone in his organization was ratting him out to the king, but however it wasn't someone in his organization, except it was. And I love the plot twist of that. I also loved the relationship between Becky and Evie. You know, Becky's like would be like, what do you call that? Becky would be that person at work who acts like they're the manager when the manager isn't around. But she and Evie had a really good relationship. I love that. And I also love the way how things ended with 3 star. I don't want to spoil it for you. Then we have A River Enchanted. So one of my favorite book of the year. If you've been watching my videos, you know I did a whole change around for the new year. So I had my book on display, and one of my favorite book of the year was by Rebecca Ross. And so I wanted to read more books by her. So I read A River Enchanted, and that is Assistant to the Villain is also book one of the Assistant to the Villain series. Now, guys, please do not get me. I just keep forgetting that some of these books are serious. So this is book one of The Elements of Cadence, and this follows Jack, Tamerlane, and Ardena. And this is kind of I think it's based on some Irish folklore. And I love reading books about clans. There's two clans. There's the Brecon, and then there's the Tamerlane, and they've been at war for like centuries. And I love the little twist between Jack and Ardena, and I love the way how it ended. I don't know, like looking back now, I really love it, and I don't know why it's a 3 star, but it's gonna stay as a 3 star. Okay, I felt the world building was overwhelming. That's what I thought then. But there is this whole thing about the elements, and when you Jack is a bard, and when you play music, the elements like I think water, air, wind, they come alive. I really love that. See, I like the writing. It was very descriptive, and when I read and I was also listening to audiobook, it's like I was there. Like when you played the music and then the water god and goddesses just form into human. That was really cute. And then I like the whole the elements like the water, the wind, the air. And I don't remember if there was five, but I know it's four. I don't know. And then the plot twist. So they were also taking. There was this whole little underlying thing where they were taking girls, and I loved when you find out why. I love the reason why. You know, sometimes you're reading books and then they come out with these plot twists, and the whys just don't make any sense. But the whys for that made sense. And we're done with. We have gone through 17 books so far. We're moving on to our 4 to 5 star reads of 2025, and this is Five Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards. I think it was Christmas. It was a holiday because I know there was snow. Five people, they got in a car. And then someone is started following them, and then something happened. It was really, really creepy. But I really liked it. I read it back in, I think I read it back in January of this year. It was probably one of the first books I read this year. No, not this year. I'm a liar. It was one of the first books I read last year because I remember reading it in January. I was just thinking the plot was really, really cool. Yeah. Yeah, it follows on a Christmas Eve, five strangers, desperate to get home, got in a car together. There was a snowstorm and their things started going missing. And I like when you find out why, I dislike the reason why all that happened. But the mysterious letters from Mara to yours was really funny, and I love the suspense because you kept wondering who in the car did it. And when you find out, it back then it was ooh, but now I would have given that book like a 2 star. But no rehashing the past, right? And then I read, which was one of the first books I have annotated in my adult life, which was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I have somewhat. Let me see. So I hear that this is a TV show too, by the way, and I decided I'm not gonna watch it yet. So I have blue for codes, green for sad, yellow for plot less evidence, pink for love, and character suspect. So let me see. I like there are a lot of like stuff that I loved about this. And I think this is book one of Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it follows Pippa, Fitz Amobi, and Sal, and a bunch of other people. What I liked was that the writing style, love the pace, the suspense, and I love the way how the murder was solved. But I haven't really looked through this book since I've read it. Ah, like some of the stuff that I quoted that I love, and there's also like a subtle like romance thing between Raj, is his name Raj or Rav? So this just follows like this girl for her paper for in high school. She's like basically trying to solve the murder of this, and she got like the go ahead as long as she doesn't like try to hash up the past or try to like go get it with the family members or whatever. But it was really, 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 really lovely, I would say. Then we have my first Ali Hazelwood book, Check and Mate. Now, I read this for the checker for the check chess for the chess because I love chess. And so I follow Mallory, and also I love the cover. I follow Mallory Green, and so she hasn't played chess since something happened with her father. I really don't remember. I think this was a 4.5. And then one day she went to a chess tournament and she ended up um beating the king pinner. So he's like top in the chess world. He's like the person who's very unbeatable, and she ended up beating him. And then like this woman became really interested. She started going to this chess place. She didn't tell her family, and a bunch of stuff happened. I loved the little romance between them. Did not really like the third act breakup, but it wasn't that bad. Then I read Rootless Vow, which is book 2 of The Letters of Enchantment by Rebecca Ross. Here. And this was a 4.5. So one of the reason why it wasn't a 5 star, I think the ending war scene, it seemed to end really quickly. So this follows Roman, Kit, and Iris. We know they were like in this is book 2. This picks up so they're in the middle of the war. Iris and Roman are now separated, and it picks up right where book 1 left off. We see her returning home after the war. We see like her we see her like with this word, I think it started like at the peak of the war. I just really loved how the book wrapped up. I just didn't really. I also love seeing how. Oh, now I remember. So when we start the book, when we started book 1, we know how Roman and Iris met, but something happened, and now Roman is basically remembering how he met Iris, and I love seeing that, like what he thought of her in his first moment, because for the most part we focus a lot on Iris in book 1, and we only knew how like they of how Iris thought Roman saw her, not how Roman actually saw her. Also, they communicate through typewriters. They have these enchanted typewriters. And when they write letters, they just open a door and put it through the door, and the letter finds the other person. Like, I love a book about letters. Like, I'm that person, so I really, really enjoy this. Then I read Book Lovers, which is a 4.5 star. I really don't like Emily Henry, but I really love this. It had like a lot of book reference. So we had Nora. For the love of me, I do not remember her name, but a name like Charlie Lastra, you don't forget that name. So Nora is a literary agent, and Charlie is the editor. And after like they had like this bad, they met once. That was the bad encounter, because Nora was really having like a bad time or day or whatever. Like Nora's sister, I think Pippo something. Nora's sister wanted them to go on a vacation, so they end up going to a small town, I think in North Carolina, which happens to be Charlie's hometown, and we see like Nora and Charlie connecting, and I really love that. And I love that one of the things I love about her books is not heavily focused on it's not this book wasn't heavily focused on spice. There wasn't no. For the most part, her books are not heavily focused on spicy scenes or whatever. But I really, really love this. Then I read Good Bad Girl, which just followed. This is by Alice Feeney, and this follows three women who I don't know. I love reading Alice Feeney book. I think this followed three women and their lives. It had like the most unexpected plot twist. It was just really weird, but funny, and I enjoyed it. And then we have Season, Siege, and Star. This okay. I read this. I read my library. I read my library version of this. So this still have the new books. I actually took it out of the box because I took it out of the what do you call that box set just for this video. I should have just put up the picture, right? So like the movie, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to compare the movie, but when I compare the movie to the book, like there are scenes in this book. This is book two of the Shadow and Bone, by the way, and I'm gonna find my page because there's some stuff that happened that I'm gonna find my page. So, so the in book one of the things that I didn't like much about book one was that I didn't think that they did a lot of world building. But book two did a lot more world building. You knew exactly what a corporate corporelli was, what the inferni, all of that stuff was explained to you in book two. Also, I love Alina Starkov's growth. Now in this, we see her becoming she became the commander for the human army is like people without powers, they're called first army, and then the Grishas are called second army. We see her being the commander for the second army. We see her going after like there's some Maristova. There's some um there's some special abilities that you get from you can enhance like your Grisha abilities from like the gill of a fish or something along that line. So we see her and Mal like their life. They're coming from like being best friends to like being together and now falling apart. And there's this line that he says that I'm gonna have to reread this because this is my copy. I'm gonna have to reread this. I think it's at page 291. I read it in my library's copy, and if I remember that page, then that is something. That is something. Oh no. And here I thought I remembered. I'm gonna need I need to I need to I definitely think I'm gonna reread this because there are lines in this book that I want highlighted. I want to tap. I want to put something on it because like and one of some of the biggest part of Elena's life did not happen in the movie, which I was so pissed. We're moving along because then I started rewatching Shadowhunters, and I decided that I finally wanted to read the ta-da! City of Bone by Cassandra Clare. This was obviously we're in the 4 star. I don't know why I was about to. This is a 4 star. So this follows Clary. For the life of me, this is book one of the Immortal Instrument. For the life of me, I did not like this girl, Clary. Like I thought she was just annoying, like on the TV show, but I really didn't like her. But I have to say that I did this for a reading vlog too. I really love Magnus. I wish he had gotten more pages in the book because Magnus was like in the movies. I thought that Magnus didn't like the Shadowhunters because that's how like they write it for the TV show. But he really didn't like the Shadowhunters. Like he did not like when he says he's not getting involved in Shadowhunters business, he's not. So it is in the books, Clary's 16 versus in the movie where she was 18. So in the book, it's Clary's 16th birthday, and she discovers that she has what is known as a sight, which means she can see demons, which is a result of her being a shed hunter, which is part angel, which just means she has angel blood. And we meet Jace, and then something happens to her mother, and we see her trying to get her mother back, and then we see her finding out who her father is. We see her whole world falling apart, and then we see Simon. We meet Simon. I kind of really like Simon. Jace was a little bit cocky, and I didn't like how they wrote. It was a 4 star because I loved the world and from watching the movies, but I really didn't like a lot of stuff about the book. But here we are. Then I read, which is the last book I read, is my first reissue book, which is A Darker Shade of Magic, which all I don't remember the guy name, but there are 3 Londons, no, 4. There's Red London, White London, Grey London, and Black London. Black London is the one that no longer exists. And the Londons used to have all of 4 Londons at some point used to all have power, but now only one London has power. And there's something called Al Alpha and Antarai. So Antarai, they're people who, based on their magic, allow them to travel between worlds. And so we meet the last. He's the last of 2 Antarais, and we meet him, and then we learn about the other Londons, and then something happens, and you meet this girl who seems to have the potential to have magic. But then something happens, and it seems that he has to get to Black London. That's the one that's locked off. I don't know how to explain this. I just know that I really enjoy reading this, and I even stayed up an entire night reading this book. And I'll leave the reading vlogs to all of these where I can probably give you like more in-depth details. Third list is this Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, which is book 1 of the Dance of Thieves duology. And this, I'm just going to read the back so you get an understanding. It says, a formidable outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations, a son destined to lead trust suddenly to power, 3 fierce women of Ratton, the Queen's premier guard, a legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself, a dark secret that threatens the entire continent. When outlaw leader meet reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensue, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. The romance I kind of really loved. Let me keep these books away from my face. No, I enjoy this. So that's the end of my my 4 to 5 star. Now these are gonna be the 5-star books, and these are just the 10 books that I really enjoyed reading this year. By now I know that I said that this video wouldn't be longer than it should be, but I love to talk. I'm Donatella. So we have Me Before You, which is, I think this was the last book I read in December of 2023, and one of the first books I finished in 2024. Now this is book 1 of the Me Before You trilogy by Jojo Moyes, and I watched the movies like months, like years before this, and then I don't know, I read how did I come to read this book? I think it was on loan from my library first, and then I ended up buying this at my library for $1. So really good deal. So this follows Emilia Clarke, not Emilia Clarke, Louisa Clarke, and Will Traynor. So Will usually have like the big boy CEO life. He had an accident, now he's a quadriplegic, and Louisa is comes in to help him with his daily life, and they kind of fall in love, and it ends really sad. But if you can, and if you do have a copy of this, you should read it. I surely enjoyed it. Then we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which is book 1 of the off-campus series, which I really, to be honest, don't remember anything about, but voila. And then I read Rock, Paper, Scissors, my first Alice Feeney book, which is also 5-star. And I think it follows this woman who was married, and then she's no longer married. And it all seems so confusing to me right now. I really don't remember. But here's a copy. And just then I should have done my 5 stars first, and then I should have done the 5 stars, and then do like 4 going down, because now I don't want to talk about books anymore. I think I've been doing this for almost an hour. We're gonna do Caraval, which is book 1 of the Caraval series, which I started annotating, but I kind of stopped because like I annotating takes away from the reading for me, so I kind of like stopped the annotating. But this follows Scarlett trying to find her sister Donatella, they was they escaped their father's wrath, or that's how I remember it, and they end up going to Caraval, which is something that Scarlett has been wanting to go to from since she was a kid. She's always writing to Legend, and they finally get to go, and her sister becomes a part of the Caraval games, and she has to find her before midnight on, I think, the third day or something along that line. Yeah. Then we have Iron Flame, which is book 2 of the Imperium series. And this kind of just picks up right where book 1 left off with the cliffhanger. This, I think book 2 is more, let me find my book. Alright, so book 2 has a lot of tension. We get to see more of General Serengil. We learn more about the whole Academy of Esgayet. And then we learned that the higher ups have been lying, like they've been really lying. There were a lot of plot twists, and I really did not like Violet because she we learned more about Zayden, which was really fun, and his past, all that lovely stuff. But I really didn't like Violet because she has what I like to call double standards to me in this book. So that's that. Then I'm saving like my favorites for last. My favorite two for last. Happy Place by Emily Henry, and this follows a group of friends. There's Harriet, and they're mostly Harriet and Wynne, but it's their last year to get together as friends, and I love that. For it's a 5 star for me because I love the whole friend dynamic of it and not per se the romance. And then Emily Henry did her usual signature of the flashbacks, which she really did perfectly in this, and I really love that. I love the seeing the growth of friends, and I still don't know why Wynne and Harriet broke up, and I could have cared less if they had gotten back together. But then I read mostly for the book cover. Hello, oh my god, I keep damaging my face. Hello, Beautiful by Anne Napolia. Like I've been seeing this cover all over, all I don't know, I think from 2023, but then I finally got it on loan from my library, and it's given Little Woman vibes, and I really love it. It follows, I don't remember who's, I know it follows like a guy and 4 sisters, and then it follows them since they were kids until they got older. You see, forgive me, at this point in the video, I'm a little exhausted, and I should have just done this first, but it was a really nice book. And then I read my only historical fiction of the year. And I think I need to read more historical fiction books because I enjoy reading historical fiction. And it was The Woman of Chateau Lafayette by Stephanie Dray. And let me you can judge me all you want. I picked this book up solely for the cover. It's only for these two words, Chateau Lafayette. Like, and there's something about the word chateau and Lafayette. Put those together. I picked it up, and it did not disappoint. It follows. So, and I had to look it up because that's how I know. It follows like it is from follows. It's from 3 time period. It is 1774, which is Adrienne Lafayette, which is Demo, which is Demo, uh, which is the wife of the Marquise de Lafayette, which is an actual person because I looked it up. And then we have Beatrice Chandler from 1914, and then we have Marte from 1940. So what I loved um, is how so throughout the 3 time periods, all of these women stayed at the Chateau Lafayette, and I love how it was during wartime, so it was 3 different wartime, and I just love how it shows woman empowerment, and I don't know, there's something about this book that I really, really enjoyed. And so it just mostly talk about the war and how women contributed, and how with Adrienne from the 1714, how she stood by her husband through and through. And then with Beatrice, we see her struggling through her marriage and still trying to contribute to the war because they were saying that women couldn't. And then during 1940, we see Marthe trying to find a life. She was supposed to get her fiance, which is also her best friend, went off to war, and then we see her trying to cope with life after that. And then we see her finding love, loved finding her, and we see her diving into her career, which she really wanted to be a painter. So, and then I think the last two books, hopefully I didn't miss any book, because any books I miss are gonna be like, I don't know, you might have to see it in the YouTube shorts or something. Because any books I miss is just gonna be like a missed book. And then my second favorite book of 2024 was Fort Wing. I mean, it's the dragons. I will read, I will watch anything about dragons. I don't know. I don't know if it's because when I was a kid I watched Aragon. I watched a lot of dragon stuff. How to Train Your Dragon. Name something with dragons and I will watch it. So when I heard about the dragon in this college, where students go off, but anyways, Violet was supposed to be a scribe. Her mom was like, hell no. So her mom signed her up for to go to the Riders Quadrant, and we see her survive. We see her make friends, and then there's the enemy who's supposed to be Zayden, and we see her and Zayden kind of bonding, and also because their dragons are bonded. Hopefully, I'm not spoiling it for anyone. I didn't mean to, but that's just everyone. Everyone knows that she gets a dragon by now. So I really loved it. I'm gonna reread it though because the bulk of the time I was I was making my first crochet turtle when I read this back in I think May, and I was also listening to the audiobook. So I definitely want to reread this. And then my favorite book of 2024, drum roll, and just this Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I love the whole thing with the letters and the key. What is this book one of? The uh letters of the Letters of Enchantment. This is book one to Rootless Vow. So I really love the story about Roman and Iris. So they're like company rivals. There's this position that was destined to go to Roman until Iris came there, and then all of a sudden he had to be fighting for this position, which I won't spoil it for you. But anyways, Iris ended up going off to war, and she was writing letters to her brother on her typewriter, which she didn't know was enchanted at the time, and she was putting them in the through the wardrobe, through the in the closet or the wardrobe, I think, or either one, and they were disappearing, but she didn't know where they were going, so she kept writing. But Roman was the one getting them, and he know that she was the one writing her. She didn't know that he was the one writing, and I just love the development of their relationship. And I mean, as far as romance goes, this tops it. As far as fantasy romance goes, this tops it. As far as YA fantasy romance goes, if I was to recommend one book out of all the 37 books that I read in 2024, this is the book that I'm recommending. Definitely. I was about to say I'll put my head on a block, but I don't think I'm not confident. I am. I I will definitely. So let me know if you read any of these books. I would love to say let me know how many books you read, but do let me know how many books you read. What was your favorite books of 2024, and what is your 2025 reading goal? Mine, I didn't meet my 100, but I think I can meet 150. I'm crazy. my reading goal is 350 books this year. This is I haven't started, so don't. I haven't started reading any books as of recording this. So I haven't read any books. As a matter of fact, I only read one book in December. One, because I was like, and I just couldn't be bothered. It wasn't like a reading slump. I'm writing a book, so I was like, do I need? I find excuses not to read sometimes. This is me. But anyways, if you're here to the end, thank you for sticking through. I know I talk too much, but I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.